presented. They listened to your testimony and they did not believe you. They thought you were lying. How could, I'll put it this way, how could they make a judgment? How could they not come to that conclusion? They had sat in those seats and heard through over 3 weeks of nonstop, relentless testimony from paid employees and towards the end of the trial, randos, as I say. So you don't blame the jury? I don't blame them. It wasn't, I don't blame them. I actually understand he's a beloved character and people feel they know him. He's a fantastic actor. Their job is to not be dazzled by that. Again, how could they, after listening to 3.5 weeks of testimony about how I was a non-credible person, not to believe a word that came out of my mouth? But Amber and her lawyers say there's evidence the jury didn't get to see, which could have bolstered her case. Amber's lawyers are sharing it publicly here for the first time. There's a binder worth of years of notes dating back to 2011 from the very beginning of my relationship that were taken by my doctor, who I was reporting the abuse to. That doctor was Amber's therapist at the time. We looked at notes the doctor took during some of their sessions, which showed that as far back as 2012, Amber was talking about physical abuse. In January of that year, she told her therapist that he hit her, threw her on the floor. 8 months after that, he ripped her nightgown, threw her on the bed. And in 2013, the therapist's notes say he threw her against a wall and threatened to kill her. Her notes represented years of real-time explanations of what was going on. Here is the evidence. The judge ruled those notes were hearsay and inadmissible. Deb's spokesperson told us it's unfortunate that the defendant and her team are back to repeating, reimagining, and relitigating matters that have already been decided by the court. Amber plans to appeal and to move on. I look forward to living my life, and I have a long one, I hope, in front of me. And I'll continue to walk through this with my chin up.
Oh, man, it's actually vile what I hear because...
Take your food. Chocolate, chill, He ate it, Dookie. You missed out. I'm sorry.
Highly empathic, and they haven't watched enough of the trial. And me sitting here, I see this person, and honestly, I feel sorry for her because nobody's advising
for sure
her properly. This is not only digging a bigger hole, but it's doing nothing to persuade people that she wasn't lying. Those notes, they amount to nothing more than self-reports, and frankly, they are the first thing that can be fabricated. So when you remember their claims of having mountains of evidence, and then as mountain of evidence, they're trying to leverage nothing more than self-reporting to a therapist that you don't know who he is or she is, the timeline of those alleged DV.
It's because you had 2 pieces. You didn't need 2. You only needed 1. And I didn't even give you one. I gave you a third of one.
An interview that's coming out tonight.
That's what happens.
In the US, I'll try to cover it if I'm still awake. Let's do this.
You're here. Some people might ask, why? Are you brave? Are you reckless?
No, I already gave you that. I'll give you food.
Why would you want to do an interview? One thing I can tell you is, one thing that's always addictive, that there's some part of me that...
Food? I'll give you this kind of food. You don't have any.
What do you hope to get across here? You've had everything said about you. What do you wish people knew?
Here's no. I'm going to give you too.
It's all about my goal. The only thing I can hope for at this point. This is what people see as a human being. Tonight we talk with Amber Heard, the woman at the center of one of the most sensational media spectacles in recent memory.
This is a case about the impact of Amber Heard's words on Johnny Depp.
For 6 weeks, millions of viewers around the world were glued to their screens, hanging on every moment of this courtroom slugfest between Hollywood stars.
The next move was she caught me in the joint.
It just did over and over and over again. And I thought, this is how I died. The trial made public a volatile marriage with private moments caught on tape. I was kidding you. I'm not punching you. You're not punched. For some people,
The little cute angelic face when she was very young. Oh my god.
they just were frankly disgusted by the whole thing and don't have much sympathy for either one of you. Can you understand that? Absolutely. I can understand that. I would not blame the average person for looking at this and how it's been covered and not think that it is a Hollywood brat at their worst. But what people don't understand is it's actually so much bigger than that. This is not only about our First Amendment rights to speak. But here's the thing about the First Amendment. The First Amendment protects free speech. It doesn't protect lies that amount to defamation, and that was the issue in the case. Yes, exactly. Free speech does not protect you if you go into a crowded theater and you scream fire. We get the concept of free speech from the Greeks, but my understanding of what that means is not just a freedom to speak. It's a freedom to speak truth to power. But truth is the word. Yes, that was the issue, and that's all I spoke.
I love it too.
So, how did it all come to this?
Makes no sense, eh? It's called truth to power.
Andrew Laura grew up outside of Texas with big dreams of Hollywood stardom. After moving to Los Angeles at the age of 17, she booked a string of TV and movie roles. In 2009, she got a call that would change her life. It was from superstar Johnny Depp, who wanted her to co-star with him in a film called The Rough Diary.
They used to speak of his life.
He's better than I could have imagined him to be, just saying. After several years of dating, the couple got engaged. Is that an engagement ring? Does that mean you're engaged?
What would you consider it?
I think you look engaged. Congratulations.
The whole gang is here.
The marriage didn't last long. In 2016, Amber went to court asking the judge for a restraining order against her husband.
Get off of there.
Months later, Amber dropped the restraining order and they divorced. And it seems like the Depp-Heard saga might end there. In 2018, she landed her biggest role yet in Aquaman. That same year, as the Me Too movement was in full swing, she wrote this now infamous op-ed for the Washington Post. It included a key line: I became a public figure representing domestic abuse. You said many times you just wanted to go on with your life. When you wrote the op-ed, it raised all of this again.
Why did they omit the entire
go on and put this
op-ed
past you?
headline?
Because the op-ed wasn't about
Because the Utilities Commission won't allow it, just like YouTube won't allow it? You betcha. You can't say that stuff. What she said on television. Because the public is listening and watching. And I guarantee you, people are offended. I'm offended.
That's a great question, and one that I wish.
So let's rewind now.
More seriously, because it's.
Let's dissect this. Because it's a joke. This is the second time I listened to it.
Makes no sense, huh? It's called truth to power.
Amber Laura Heard grew up outside
Truth that
Austin,
you
Texas,
invented.
with big dreams of Hollywood stardom. After moving to Los Angeles at the age of 17, she booked a string of TV and movie roles. In 2009, she got a call
The
that would
Miss
change her
American
life.
Pie face.
It was from superstar Johnny Depp.
This is the problem. Everybody loves a blonde.
Diary.
But is she a real blonde though? She looks like a brunette to me, dark brown hair.
She was half his age,
I
23.
mean, light brown hair.
It's such a pleasure to work with. He's even better than I could have imagined him to be, just saying. After several years of dating, the couple got engaged. Is that an engagement ring? Does that mean you're engaged?
What would you consider it?
I think you look engaged. Congratulations.
Thank you. She's a wonderful girl. And very good for me.
But the marriage didn't last long. In May 2016, Amber went to court asking a judge for a restraining order against her husband, alleging domestic abuse.
People.
Months later, Amber dropped the restraining order and they divorced. And it seemed like the Depp Heard saga might end there.
What a beauty.
In 2018, she landed her biggest role yet in Aquaman. That same year, as the Me Too movement was in full swing, she wrote this now infamous op-ed for the Washington Post. It included a key line: "I became a public figure representing domestic abuse." You've said many times you just wanted to go on with your life. When you wrote the op-ed, it raised all of this again. Why did you do that if you wanted to just go on and put this past you? Because the op-ed wasn't about a relationship.
Leave them
It
alone.
alluded to.
Leave them alone.
It's kind of mystical.
Leave them.
You know, what the op-ed was about was,
Sorry. I'm sorry, Papa.
me loaning my voice to a bigger
You
cultural
fucking
conversation
bitch.
that we were having at the time. It was about reforms, legislative reforms, and renewing the Violence Against Women Act. Did you worry? Gosh, I'd love to be a person weighing in on these cultural issues, but that's going to stir this all up again. You know, that's a great question, and one that I wish was considered more seriously, because it's important. When you wrote this op-ed, it was the height of Me Too. Legions of powerful men being
Why are you limping?
losing their jobs. Did you want that to
Give me a
happen to
kiss.
Johnny Depp? Of course not. It wasn't about him.
Come here.
Johnny Depp.
Come here. Do you need to
and
your
filed
get
a $50
your
million
glands
defamation
extracted? Come here.
lawsuit against her.
Kiss.
She
No.
countersued, all of which led to the recent showdown in court. I don't have to remind you that you've been found liable for defamation against Johnny Depp. Having been found liable, are you nervous? As we are here to know what you can say. Of course, I took for granted what I assumed was my right to speak. Not just about what I lived through, but what I knew. Do you feel like you could be sued again by him for defamation? I'm terrified, which is what I guess the defamation lawsuit is meant to do. It's meant to take your voice.
Cringe, absolute cringe. Sorry if I stop, but I just want to say this is so cringe. I have a suggestion. In case you're so terrified, I would advise not going on national TV and reiterating the same words for words, things that cause you to be the thing, to bring to you a lawsuit in the first place. Just a suggestion. I'm just saying, nobody's taking your voice away. Matter of fact, most likely, I don't know for sure, but I suppose that NBC paid money for this interview, gave you money for this interview.
Mm-hmm.
And I was reading somewhere that also
They're pulling an Oprah Winfrey
the questions beforehand.
with Meghan and Harry Harkle. The Harkles.
Nobody is taking the voice. You're talking non-stop. People are just reacting to you, literally not stopping for one day.
cars pulling up not to a red carpet, but to a Virginia courthouse. What did you see out the window of that car? Every single day I pass city blocks lined with people holding signs saying things that I couldn't repeat on television. And they had to establish barricades to protect me so I could drive into a protected entrance of the courthouse. Every single day, that's how I walked into court. There were more people waiting for her inside, packing the courtroom and watching from home. Amber's lawyers had fought to keep TV cameras out, but lost. I didn't want this to be a thing. I didn't want it to be a trial. I didn't want it to be a part of the public record. But when someone sues you, you don't really have a choice. With the burden of proof on him, Johnny Depp made his case first. To prove defamation, his lawyers needed to show that Amber's claims of abuse were false and had hurt his career. Mr. Depp, have you ever physically assaulted Miss Heard? Have you ever sexually assaulted Miss Heard?
Never. Certainly not.
What have you lost as a result of Miss Heard making these allegations against you?
Nothing less than everything.
Depp said
That's what she looks
there
like.
was an abuser in the courtroom, but it wasn't him. It was Amber.
She's a need for conflict. She's a need for violence. It erupts out of nowhere.
Depp described a particularly violent fight they had when he was filming in Australia. He said Amber threw a vodka bottle at him.
And it made contact
You see how fascinating it is? Actually, Johnny is specifically saying
everywhere.
she
Tell me she's not.
says Johnny does.
Tell me she's not.
I realized that the tip of my finger had been severed.
Depp's attorney showed the jury photos of the injuries they said Amber had inflicted on Depp and asked members of his security staff to tell the jury what they'd seen.
I heard and saw a closed fist contact Mr. Depp in the left side of his face.
And whose fist was that?
That was Miss Heard's fist, Amber Heard's fist.
The Depp team argued that you were the abuser, that you instigated physical violence. Did you? I never had to instigate it. I responded to it. When you're living in violence and it becomes normal, as I testified to, you have to adapt. You adopt strategies to cope with it. If it meant,
No,
as I
actually,
testified to,
she's basically, okay, so she just confessed to us that when you're living with violence or whatever, this is bad, Amber. I don't understand you, girl.
abuser, that you instigated physical violence. Did you? I never had to instigate it. I responded to it. When you're living in violence and it becomes normal, as I testified.
Okay, so basically, she's confessing to us that when you're living in it, like when you're in the midst, right? Those are the key words. Living in it. So that would be a reference to her childhood. What happened to her? What kind of malice was done to her? Because she didn't get this way. She didn't just wake up this way one day and decided, I'm going to take this guy down. She didn't do that. What she did was continue a pattern that she had learned for many years, and the pattern had worked for her, and it was to culminate in the Johnny Depp defamation trial. Well done, Amber Heard. You just sabotaged your entire life.
Too. You have to adapt. You adopt strategies.
Yeah,
to cope with
she
it.
did.
If it meant, as I
When you're
testified
living
to,
in
if
it,
meant the
suggests that
difference
she's lived in
between
violence her
broken
entire
nose
life.
a
She
sword,
doesn't know anything other than violence.
I would do it. What about the witnesses who said?
That's my interpretation of what she said, of what came out of her mouth.
Did they all come in and lie in court? I'm, less interested in sitting here, relitigating it with you. I am not here to call any of these witnesses.
Yeah, you are.
I'm not here to do that. I'm here to just kind of talk about it from
She
what
is
it's like for me as a person who
removed from reality.
there was one more voice Depp's legal team wanted the jury to hear. Amber's. They had audio recordings of the couple talking about how Amber sometimes got physical.
Her head is not right. It's not screwed on right. She has mega underlying issues.
Amber was less apologetic.
I'm curious though.
Like this, but I did not punch you.
You need-
I did not deck you. I was hitting you. There are tapes in which you acknowledge hitting. There are tapes in which you say, I started the fight. I know much has been made of these audio tapes. And as I testified on the stand, what you would hear in those clips are not evidence of what was happening. It was evidence of the negotiation of how to talk about that with your abuser.
That's why you suppressed
a transcript that says, he says,
Oh,
you start physical fights, and you
of
say,
about
I did start a physical
hundreds
fight.
of pieces of depositions.
But you're telling me today, I never started a physical fight, and here you are on tape saying you did. As I testified on the stand about this, is that when your life is at risk, not only will you take the blame for things that you shouldn't take the
I would
blame
love
for,
to be a
when you're
fly
in
on the
abusive
wall in
dynamics,
childhood.
psychologically, emotionally, and physically, you don't
I would love
have
to
the
see
luxury
what
of
happened
saying,
to
"This
her
is
when she was a
life,"
kid.
because it's invisible.
Was her father
When you're
that?
living in it. He says he never hit you. Never. Is
I
that a
would
lie? Yes, it
want to know what happened to her, right? What happened to her? Why does she think that it is okay to, double down on her accusations about this to this man, towards this man, when she's already lost a defamation trial? So what you have to wonder, there's got to be a loose screw up there, something in her brain that's not connecting, right? Incidentally, if you do your research and you start in multiple sclerosis, the Wikipedia page, you will find that there is such a malfunction of the brain, shall we say, that causes you to do the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do. So that is, in and of itself, a diagnosis, okay? But it's not a diagnosis that people go after, because obviously disease has many arms, and it's quite literally a symptom. So these are the things that we as people have to ask ourselves, right? Is my brain working correctly, or is it off? Because if it's off, we ought to seek medical treatment, right? For example, are you forgetting your keys like one too many times? Like maybe you forgot them in the freezer. That can't be fucking normal, right? Therefore, you go to your doctor, your primary care physician, and you say to him, hey, I wonder if you can't tell me why this is happening to me. And then he will run a battery of tests, right? Battery of tests. And she went ahead and lied on these tests, right? To the psychologist. So they were not in. When you lie to a professional who's a health practitioner and is trying to help you, you're not doing anybody a service, but you are doing yourself a disservice. So you're basically working against yourself, right? You're just working against yourself. It's not a good look, right? And we could go off on a tangent here. We could say, oh, look at this creator, look at this creator, look at this creator, and the fucking shit they're doing in regards to kids, right? Because at the end of the day, you have to lump all these people down here making money off of this right here, right? There's an umbrella now, and it starts with a P. And the next letter is an E, and it's followed by a D, right? Because we're talking about children, right? Philia means obsession. This is why it's so important that you don't lose the idea or the concept of what's happening. These people can say whatever the fuck they want, but at the end of the day, they're practicing a level of philia, right? So this, let's listen to Amber talk about the Greeks.
He says he's never struck any woman. His lawyers are.
I mean, if this ain't about a bitch,
Just been made of these audio tapes. And as I testified on the stand,
that's why it's so infuriating to the normal people. Those of us that like made it out of the woods alive.
Your abuser.
But I am looking at a transcript that says, he says, you start physical fights, and you say, I did start
In
a physical
medical,
fight.
you're not
I did
allowed
start
to
a physical
use
fight.
cliches.
But you're telling me today,
You're not
I
allowed
never
to do
started a
that.
physical fight, and here you are on tape saying you did.
As I testified on the stand about this, is that when your life is at risk, not only will you take the blame for things that you shouldn't take the blame for, but when you're in an abusive dynamic, psychologically, emotionally,
So she was in an emotionally abusive dynamic.
Because it's anything but when you're living in it.
He says he never hit you. Never. Is that a lie?
Yes, it is.
You have to listen to the words that come out of her mouth.
His lawyers argued at trial. None of his other.
Listen to what she's saying, spewing.
And said he physically hit them. You're the only one.
Look what happened to me when I came forward. Would you?
Wow, man.
What? You're being interviewed. It's not the time for you to ask back questions. That's fucking rude, and you're fucking gross.
JD didn't come forward because look what happened to her. She answered with a question.
She's fucking
Again,
gross.
gaslighting one-on-one. If you
That's
ask me.
disgusting.
Unreal, man. She's insinuating.
But this is nothing. We're looking at a beautiful, blonde, 6 foot tall woman. It's nothing compared to the real Marilyn Manson shit that's out there. And I can tell you stories about that motherfucker. I was never in his, say, for example, line of fire, thank God.
It was a shocking day in court yesterday.
The attention seemed to grow day by day. The surprises just keep coming in his trial. But for all the intense curiosity, this was not the first time Amber Heard and Johnny Depp faced off in court.
There was another trial, dealt with the same substantive issues, handled differently by a judge instead of a jury.
Johnny Depp.
I got into a heated argument yesterday with my husband over lies. I was like, I don't give a fuck who you are. I'm telling you this right fucking now. Don't lie to me. Because if you lie to me, that's the fucking end of it. One lie, that's it. I'm not going to trust you. I may be your friend. I may continue to talk to you, but the trust is gone and it'll never return. Know that.
Sued The Sun, a British tabloid, over an article it published describing him as a wife beater. The case went to trial 2 years ago in the UK. There were no cameras in court. The judge in that case found that most of Amber Heard's allegations of abuse were substantially true. Johnny Depp has lost his legal battle with a British tabloid.
And we prevailed, overwhelmingly.
The jury in the US trial wasn't allowed to hear about that judgment. And Amber says that by the time she got up to tell her side of the story, the court of public opinion here had already turned against her.
I watched this trial, so I have every right to fucking stream on this.
Saw the courtroom packed.
Even if people don't like it. That's not my fucking issue.
Fans who were vocal, energized, who come from all ends of the world.
We've been here all night long.
And the UK encouraged it.
And I had to walk half an hour.
And
Why?
the jury saw all of that.
Because the
During
UK,
5 days on the stand, Amber told her version of the toxic relationship. She said the physical abuse began when they were first dating and continued throughout their marriage.
When I was walking out of the bedroom,
has really
across the
good
face, I turned
surveys.
and I said, Johnny, you hit me. You just hit me. I testified on the stand. I got hit for a very long time before I knew how to even try to defend myself.
In all, she described at least 12 times when Depp hit her.
And he's punching me punching me, a close fist punching me. She said it often happened when he was drunk or on drugs. Right now, as you sit here today, do you stand by your testimony and your accusations against Johnny Depp about abuse? Of course, and I will to my dying day. I know what happened to me. I'm here as a survivor. To my dying day, will stand by every word of my testimony.
This is the Me Too movement power on somebody, you know? This is truly tragic. And also it's dragging, like, not
I ain't
only
never been in that situation, but
only,
God bless the people that have,
dragging back,
because
but
I
for
can't
the
imagine.
victim to be believed because she's lying. She's so busy about herself that actually she's not caring about the damage that she does to other people and other victims.
To support her allegations, her attorney showed photos of injuries they said were caused by death.
What?
A nurse testified she saw Amber's
It's
bloody
like
lip.
both furrowed, and then it was
She
gone.
told you that that was a result of the altercation with Mr. Depp, right?
And Amber's sister took the stand and told the story of one fight that she said included Depp hitting her, something Depp denies.
He comes up behind me, strikes me in the back, kind of just somewhere over here. He strikes me in the back. I hear Amber shout, "Don't hit my sister." She smacks him, lands one, and then he grabbed Amber by the hair with one hand and was whacking her repeatedly in the face with the other.
Mr. Depp, we've talked about this.
Amber's side also played its own snippets of audio. Amber talking to Depp about acts of violence.
Secret on someone else. You have consequences for your actions. That's it.
Shut up.
Okay, here's the part that pisses me off. In the trial, it was told that Amber put a cigarette out on Johnny's face, and then he had to have a skin graft. In other words, they had to take skin from another part of his body that's not normally visible, usually like your ass, right? They'll take a part, like a piece of skin off, and then they'll attach it to the area where it's been damaged, and so it's to encourage the cell growth, right? I mean, who the fuck does that? What the fuck kind of a fucking crazy person does that? You have to be crazy to do that. No normal person does that. You have to be absolutely deranged. Something's going on upstairs, and it's not good. I'm listening to Frank Balcheria. Infuriating. It's infuriating what's happening.
Amber's
This
sister took the
bitch
stand
took
and told
it
the
that
story
far.
of one fight that she said
All
included
across
Depp
to
hitting
the pond
her,
of the UK.
something Depp denies.
Oh my God.
He comes up behind me, strikes me in the back, kind of just somewhere over here. He strikes me in the back. I hear Amber shout, "Don't hit my sister." She smacks him, lands one, and then he grabbed Amber by the hair with one hand and was whacking her repeatedly in the face with the other.
Mr. Depp, we've talked about this.
Amber's side also played its own snippets of audio. Amber talking to Depp about acts of violence.
Jesus.
Secret on someone else. You have consequences for your actions. That's it.
Shut up.
A week prior, I
I mean, you fucking get what you fucking attract,
There was
right?
this video.
It's nothing new.
Did something
If
happen?
he's gonna call her a fat ass, she was calling him an old fuck,
I
right?
don't think so. Oh, you're crazy.
have you drunk this whole thing this morning?
You would agree,
This motherfucker.
correct?
I mean, I've got guy friends that have told me stories about their bitches. But this bitch, and I know a gal who took this guy for 100,000 before he caught on.
A mega pint of red wine, correct?
A mega pint.
Those were their words to me, by the way.
I poured myself a large glass of wine.
And remember what Depp said about that fight in Australia when his finger was severed? Amber denied hurting him and said
I'm
on that
okay,
trip,
Papa.
she
I'm
was the
talking
real
to the
victim.
camera. I'm okay. I'm talking to the camera. I
Amber
love
went on
you.
to
I
describe
love
a
you too,
harrowing
Papa.
incident of sexual
Talking to the
abuse.
camera.
She
Go lay down.
testified that Depp assaulted her with a bottle.
Jojo, you need a bath, Papa.
Feel this pressure.
You smell so
In
sweet.
that courtroom, I
You want that
am
food?
testifying
Okay.
about sexual
You
assault
can have it.
and domestic violence next to a jury in front of a whole packed courtroom of people who are expressing their vocal.
This bitch is crazy. I mean, I've seen this a million times. Well, at least 3 times each time. Not this. This is my first time watching this, but I've seen the trial and I've seen all the popularity clips. I have not done my own research on the trial in terms of what the people are claiming that is out there is actually true, because I've seen the memes, so I don't have output on that. But that's not to say that I won't be making content regarding it.
She's lying. She's so busy about herself that actually she's not caring about the damage that she does to other people and other victims.
To support her allegations, her attorney.
For example, let me tell you something. We're going to go back to 1449. Let's go 1400. 1359.
He didn't come forward because
Okay.
look what happened to her. She
The reason that I'm upset also is because the shit that she's saying is not matching, right? It doesn't fucking add up. So you put both columns up and you match the columns, and it's got to match word for word. And it's not matching word for word. It just doesn't add up. Okay? 5 people said that when these 2 said this happened, it was entirely an entirely different way that it actually happened. I mean, there was a fucking can of Red Bull tossed from a 2nd level down to Johnny's back, hitting him in the back. And his bodyguard was standing next to him. And he didn't block the fucking thing, so it got him. Or I think he blocked it and I'm not sure. But it made contact with skin. I mean, if you're on a fucking 2nd level and you throw a bottle of Red Bull, a can of Red Bull at somebody down below, and it makes contact, in Los Angeles, California, you're going to get arrested. So it doesn't add up.
answer with a question. Again, gaslighting one-on-one, if you ask me. Unreal, man. She's insinuating.
It's unreal. It's unreal. Unbelievable.
There's just now another ex-girlfriend of JD that came with the post on Instagram somewhere saying she knows that all the things written about JD are another
Get out,
girlfriend.
Jackie.
So
Oh, ciao.
I'll
You wanna come this way,
another
Papa?
video. Unreal, man. Unreal. Sweating.
It was a shocking day in court yesterday.
The attention seemed to grow day by day.
The surprises just keep coming in this trial.
But for all the intense curiosity, this was not the first time Amber Heard and Johnny Depp faced off in court.
There was another trial, dealt with the same substantive issues, handled differently by a judge instead of a jury.
Come on, Papa.
Johnny Depp sued the Sun, a British tabloid, over an article it published describing him as a white beater. The case went to trial 2 years ago in the UK. There were no cameras in court. The judge in that case found that most of Amber Heard's allegations of abuse were substantially true.
Johnny Depp has lost his legal battle with a British tabloid.
And we prevailed overwhelmingly.
It wasn't her fucking lawsuit. I mean, I've seen this a million times, so I've seen the footage. I just haven't seen them put together the way it is today on this fucking show.
The court of public opinion here had already turned against her.
After 3.5 weeks, I took the stand and saw the courtroom packed full of Captain Jack Sparrow fans who were vocal, energized.
So he's not Johnny anymore?
All ends of the world.
And he has scissors for hands.
I
in real life.
Those 2 trains
So he's not Johnny in real life. He's Captain Jack Sparrow. Wow. So to diminish a man's whole existence, right? This bitch is crazy. And I would fucking steer clear if I was in her vicinity. Like when you see her, run the other way. Right? That one meme. When you see somebody and then all of a sudden you gotta run. Somebody make that meme.
Even tried to defend myself.
Amber Heard turns the corner.
Times when death hit her.
And he's punching me. A close fist punching me.
She said it often happened when he was drunk or on drugs. Right now, as you sit here today, do you stand by your testimony and your accusations against Johnny Depp about abuse?
Of course, and I will to my dying day. I know what happened to me. I'm here as a survivor.
I'm sure the killer goes into jail and says the same thing. I'm innocent.
Of the Me Too movement.
And he was literally caught with like his hands in the cookie jar, right?
This is truly tragic, and also it's dragging, like not only like it's really dragging back, but for victim to be believed because she's
forget the victims.
So
she lied to a man when she's not. She's LGBTQ, but the L. And pretended she was the B. I mean, that's the ultimate lie.
A nurse testified she saw
Who's to say she's not going to be trans down the line? Look at Caitlyn Jenner. I mean, that shit doesn't just come about like from around the corner. That's been like years in the making, okay? She's not out in the fucking desert for nothing, right? She's transitioning in more ways than one, probably.
Strikes me in the back. I hear Amber shout, "Don't hit my sister."
And this is an opinion, right? This bitch was a traumatic thing to watch and play out throughout the day for 6 weeks.
Mr. Depp, we've talked about this.
Amber's side also played its own snippets of audio.
I mean, I sat here and watched it live and I couldn't. I was like, literally exited my body and was beside myself. And stood there looking back at me and going, "Are you watching this bitch? Because I am." This is the level of trauma involved and triggers when it comes to Amber Heard. It's not funny anymore. And she needs to stop.
I don't think so.
Have you drunk this whole thing this morning?
You would agree?
And it's going to ignite
You were violent,
some arguments.
correct?
Clearly I was having a bad time. Yes. I did assault.
I mean, if somebody told me that they loved me and then I later found out that they were in fact on the other team's side, I would not be glad. But it would be worse if I found that out to truly be the case. And I was a punching bag for this fucking person for X amount of years. That would be the difference for me. I would be like, okay, hold on.
Amber went on to describe a harrowing incident of sexual abuse. She testified that Depp assaulted her with a bottle.
Like, I have to leave my body right now.
In that courtroom.
Because I can't imagine, and so I have to out of body experience right now.
About sexual assault.
She may as well be speaking
Next
UFOism,
to a jury
right?
in front of a whole packed courtroom of people who are expressing their vocal support and disdain for me.
Your lies have been exposed to the world multiple times, right?
I don't lie about anything I'm been here to say.
When it came time to cross-examine Amber about that alleged sexual assault, Depp's team pointed out the allegation only came up after her divorce. In court, attorney Camille Vasquez pulled no punches.
You testified you bled from your vagina as a result of that sexual assault.
Yes.
There aren't any medical records reflecting that you sought medical treatment for any of these injuries, are there?
I did not seek medical treatment after Australia, no.
Not for the rape.
No, I did not want to tell anyone.
In the end, the jury believed Johnny Depp.
Do you find that Mr. Depp has proven all the elements of defamation? Answer, yes.
And awarded him more than $10 million in damages. Amber won a single defamation claim in her countersuit and was awarded $2 million.
There's no polite way to say it. The jury looked at the evidence you presented. They listened to your testimony and they did not believe you. They thought you were lying. How could, I'll put it this way, how could they make a judgment? How could they not come to that conclusion if they had sat in those seats and heard through both of non-stop, relentless testimony from paid employees and the trial randoms, as I say. So you don't blame the jury? I don't blame them. It wasn't, I don't blame them. I actually understand he's a beloved character and people feel they know him. He's a fantastic actor.
The job is to not be dazzled by that.
And again, how could they, after listening to 3.5 weeks of testimony about how I was...
Come on, Jojo, you can do it. Come on, Mickey, come on. Come on, come on. Come on,
The jury didn't get to see.
come on. Mickey, come. Come on, Mickey. Close the door then, come on.
Back to 2011, from the very beginning of my relationship, that began
We looked at notes the doctor took during some of their sessions, which showed that as far back as 2012, Amber was talking about physical abuse. In January of that year, she told her therapist to hit her, threw her on the floor. 8
Wasn't
months after
watching.
that, he ripped her nightgown, threw her on the bed. And in 2013, the therapist
Get
notes
off of him.
threw her against a wall and threatened to kill her.
Her notes represented years
What?
real-time explanations of what was going on.
Considered the evidence. The judge ruled those notes were hearsay and inadmissible. Depp's spokesperson told us it's unfortunate that the defendant and her team are back to repeating, reimagining, and relitigating matters that have already been decided by the courts. Amber plans to appeal and to move on.
I look forward to living my life, and I have a long one, I hope, in front of me. And
I mean, nothing against people who want to transition,
walk through this with
right?
my chin
but
up.
she's the one that went on the stand and said that men crying was weird. That's what she said. She said it's weird when men cry. Men crying is weird. That's what she said. And remember, she also said no one's going to believe you, Johnny, if you go on the stand and say, I...
And
Yeah.
me sitting here, I see this person, and honestly, I feel sorry for
You
her.
have
because
to. You
nobody's
have to feel sorry
advising
for her.
her
You
properly.
know, this is America. It's a free
This is not
country.
only digging
She
a
can be
bigger hole,
delusional
but
if she
doing
wants.
Nothing to persuade people.
If she wants
She
to
wasn't
feign
lying.
delusionalism,
Those
she
notes,
can do that.
nothing
It's a
more
free
than
country.
self-reports.
Is she free
And
from repercussions?
Frankly, they are the first thing
I'm
that
not a
can be
lawyer.
fabricated. So when you remember their claims of having mountains of evidence, and then as mountain of evidence, they're trying to leverage nothing more than self-reporting to a therapist that you don't know who he is or she is. The timeline of those alleged DV goes back to 2011 now, so it keeps growing, and there is no way to verify this out of context. Also, this, like, whatever therapist was not summoned, we have to look into it, why.
It
But
wasn't admitted in court. It was all probably hearsay, or even if it wasn't hearsay.
that holds
Right,
many
third-party
times,
information or
yet
fifth-party
given her money
information
of the settlement
or tenth-party
or something
information.
away, right? And she didn't, it was proven, and she did. She also, on the road, said that she gave the money away.
She's a liar. It's been
Keep this in
confirmed
mind
several
when you think
times.
about this person.
This
When
person
you try to
can't
be
fucking
too
tell the
empathic
truth.
towards this person, there is really a vile attempt
She's a
at
liar.
actually discrediting a
It
real
takes a particular type of
that came forward and has
wicked
fight
person
really
to
hard
continuously
prove that
lie
to he was the victim.
an
Jamie
entire,
was the victim. And they're still
world.
going after it.
I
They're
mean,
still
for
going
God's
after
sake.
it for nothing more than accusation.
When does it fucking end?
And it's getting truly
Never.
insane. And if anything, again, I
Look
don't
at the
know if
fucking
it's
people in
suggesting this
Tennessee.
person, but I would just rest
What
the
the
case.
fuck is
and
going on
really
over? I
seek
mean,
for
like,
therapy, because
this
there's
must
no
be the
point
culture, I
at
guess.
all.
Don't
At
step
all.
on the
Alright,
fucking
anyway,
culture. This is the
please,
culture that they
always
need to
spread
keep
love.
alive.
Subscribe if you want
This is
to
the
the
culture
channel.
that they want
Check the other
people
videos
to
on
pretend
Facebook, comment,
isn't there.
I'll see you later.
This is the culture that they are perpetuating against the child's family, right? And even if the mother and father did do it,
America's beverage companies are
that's
working
neither
together
here nor
to
there.
deliver more great tasting options with less sugar.
It's not your job.
In fact, today, nearly 60%
Yeah.
of beverages sold contain
There's people that have that job.
choices.
You are interfering with those people's jobs now, and you're continuously doing, and you're doing it, and you're bothering people that are most likely innocent, right? What? Imagine that. People are killing me right now. Oh, this is a different video, so let's watch it. Yeah. I mean, what the fuck is going on right now? Fucking crazy people. And if you're running game on the Summer Wells case, I feel sorry for you. I feel fucking sorry for you. And if I were you, I would just fucking stop. Because there's going to come a time when your name is going to be on a list. Don't forget.
Sorry.
Because people aren't stupid. They know what you're doing.
Alright.
You're distracting from the matter. And this is bigger than you.
Alright.
That's why that guy Jose woke up right? Without a breath. That's why he woke up like that. You don't want to wake up like that guy for whatever reason. Because you say what the one thing that was the wrong thing to say, right? You could have been successful for the entire year. But you say that one thing, they're going to come for you like white on rice.
Welcome to the chat. There we go.
But you don't care, right? If you're running game, you don't care, right?
I'm sure this is a work.
I would care.
I'm not
I
sure.
would most definitely care.
This is refreshing.
Because there are people watching everything. There's 7 billion people in the world. You think they not one has come across your channel?
We're going to figure out in a little bit.
I mean, what does somebody have to do
One right there.
to get you to realize?
Here in the
Right?
Netherlands, it's already 9.
What does somebody have to do to get you to realize that?
I just wanted to do a video. Found a very nice, interesting page here for some lovely soul, which actually I don't know how to
I don't know what this is.
thank.
Well, let's watch.
I don't know who it is. Gotta figure it out. And,
I think this is the court case when she was a juvenile and she
there's
like
there's a list of more or less everything that is out there. Now we've covered
fell
a lot.
under juvenile jurisdiction, meaning it was sealed.
Many times, you know, like not per se.
But
like,
if this woman kills somebody else
channel.
in her lifetime, I bet you this is going to be a big, like, predisposition. You know? Let me tell you what that means. So people with type 2 diabetes have a tendency to, advance to the next level of diabetes, right? Which would be diabetes 1.
All of the covering expertise, law expert.
That's predisposition.
Expert in the fields of like behavior or doctors, psychiatrists.
It's like people aren't educated, or they don't go to school, or they decided against it.
I'm trying
and
just
they're not,
to
like,
put together some
on a level of
things
like what
myself here, just to
the
share,
correct and incorrect thing to do is. And so they're fucking winging it, and that's okay.
Done a couple of days.
It's a free country.
I'm not 100%
You can
sure,
wing
but I
it.
suppose probably starts on Monday.
You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Beginning of the week, working week.
It's also religious freedom.
And here,
You can be
probably it's gonna be
religious.
the afternoon,
I'm a religious
around
person.
4. So we're gonna do that. I think I'm gonna cover it for the next 2 weeks, at least probably the first 4 days of the week.
Was he talking about
Yeah,
the
we'll see.
trial?
You know? But I
Okay,
just
so
wanna-
let's just, eliminate that process. It's astounding to me, to be honest with you. It's just astounding to me.
Amber Heard has challenged her ex-husband Johnny Depp to do.
This just came in. It's got 14,000 views. It's 43 minutes long.
So Amber Heard has challenged her ex-husband Johnny Depp to do his
No,
own
it came in
TV
43
interview,
minutes ago.
Quote, if he has a problem, end quote, with her repeating her defamatory allegations that he beat her during an explosive sit-down with NBC's Dateline, in which she reveals that she has a binder full of therapist notes, which he claims prove her accusations that he physically hurt her. The 36-year-old actress issued the bold ultimatum to her former spouse via a spokesperson on Friday, hours before her interview with Today Show host Samantha Guthrie is due to air in full. Quote, if Mr. Depp or his team have a problem with this, we recommend that Johnny himself sit down with Savannah Guthrie for an hour and answer all her questions. A spokesperson told DailyMail.com after a series of clips from the interview
This just
were aired
in.
on Today and on Peacock, in which Heard branded Depp a liar and doubled down on claims that he beat
Yeah,
her
Savannah
and
laid that one
her
down for her,
during
and
their
she fucking
relationship.
stepped right into
Honestly,
it.
to me, this sounds like
So now
another
Savannah's gonna
Twitter
double
lawsuit
down
in the
because she
works,
laid it
but
down
hey,
for her.
Do you, Amber? So there's actually a growing boycott right now to not watch the Dateline special featuring Amber Heard.
I don't like
Mainstream media
NBC,
has
so
continually been changing
and I don't like
the narrative
Peacock
to
either.
favor Amber over Johnny Depp. Good Morning
Now I
America
know
was
why.
actually caught misquoting the juror and made it seem like
Yeah.
he thought both Johnny and Amber
Good
were
Morning
toxic,
America
but
did
he
do that.
actually only said he thought Amber was the toxic one. Yeah, completely misquoted by GMA.
Completely.
So in the interview with Amber Heard, Savannah asked
Today's
about her
June.
new evidence that wasn't allowed in the U.S. trial, but was allowed in the U.K. And I actually put them side by side, and you can tell that they look forged by Amber herself. So Amber called these doctor
Oh my
notes
God, this reminds
for
me of
clarification.
Meghan Markle and her calligraphy class, and how she is a calligrapher. Look at this writing.
And revealed that they were actually therapist notes, not doctor notes, not like x-rays or anything. They weren't allowed in the U.S. trial because they were considered hearsay evidence. Yeah, because anybody can walk into their therapist and call themselves the Queen of England. Doesn't make them that they are the Queen of England, you know what I mean? So according to Guthrie and Dateline, which was given access to the so-called binder, the notes contained descriptions conveniently dating back to January 2012. So that's weird because her story was always the incidents between her and Johnny started in 2013. And what happened was she was actually called out for this because she submitted a photo to TMZ that the metadata on it said 2012. And all of a sudden she backtracked and it's like, oh, no. The incident started in 2012. But her story was always, for years, 2013. Now suddenly she has all these notes to prove that it actually did start in 2012.
Girl,
So
she's a liar.
Heard told her therapist, Depp, quote,
She
hit
lied
clear
her
on the
ass off.
floor. And then 8 months after that, he,
She'd
quote,
think we
ripped her
stupid.
nightgown, threw her on the bed, end quote, which to me honestly sounds more steamy than anything violent. I mean, They use those texts
Okay,
about,
so
oh, there's more on
based on what
YouTube.
he
Well,
just said, right?
and I
Remember what I said earlier. She's feeding that she's a bi person of the LGBT community when she's in fact an L, right? So that tells me that she probably doesn't like men. She has some type of bias against men. My theory, personally, on people that have biases against men, mainly women, is that there's some type of an underlying situation where they either wish they were men and not women, or they were possibly born into the wrong body, or they had some type of an identity crisis. And this has to go back to childhood, right? When it comes to young people, so you have to remember, I'm 51. I was young once, right? I went to school, same as everybody else. I had those friends, right? Same as everybody else. I was an oddball too, right? So I've seen a thing or two, right? I've seen a lot of things, okay? It could just very well be that she's, going through crises. And for her, there's nothing more, like, we don't know if she's transitioning already and taking medication. I would imagine that would be something that she would have to disclose to the courts. But again, she's been known to lie. So how do you trust a person, right? And the reason I'm telling you this is because I watch a lot of YouTube. And recently I came across a video, and the video said something to the event of women in Texas are being used as guinea pigs for pharmaceuticals, and they're advertising it as, as a survey or a type of clinical trial. And so the women, voluntarily show up at these venues where they get paid to get to try a medication or different types of trials. And these trials could be like something I would be interested, for example, in would be a sleeping trial, right? Because I have no problem sleeping. I sleep like a baby, right? So my body just entirely shuts down. Like I literally just close my eyes. It could be 8:15, it could be 9:15. And like when my body shuts down and I close, I'm like a cat. I just fall asleep wherever I am. And then I'll wake up to have to go to the bathroom, and then, you get the drill. So let's see what else he's saying.
Don't mean injury as like, proof that Johnny is violent towards Amber, but those were texts that were for more adult in nature. They had nothing to do with, hurting Amber. So, and then in 2013, he threw her against a wall and threatened to kill her. The notes allege. The convenient notes.
The notes allege.
Very
Okay.
questionable looking.
So,
I mean, most therapist notes would come.
This
and
is how
bullet.
stupid this woman is. Okay, I'm gonna give you an insight on how stupid this fucking woman is. She's so fucking stupid, right? Allegedly, that she thinks that because she gave Johnny a knife that was engraved "Till Death Do Us Part" in Spanish, and it was an antique knife that probably was like, tens of thousands of dollars, apparently. Then she's got a text out with this fucking guy that was the boyfriend of her best friend, Rocky Pennington, at the time, who she married, right? Who Rocky married. And the text says to that guy, Josh, bring the knives. I want to show them to him just so that he gets it. Like, I don't know about you, but that looks like a threat, right? In writing. Like, literally. Let me just point out. She's got a phenomenal body. And she's like in her 60s. Okay, let's listen to the rest of this.
point
There's no more
format,
milk, honey,
and
I
her
love you.
writing actually matches up with these notes. So like when you go to a therapist, it would be like bullet points, not like paragraphs and all this stuff. And in my opinion, it looks like she could have written these notes herself. And also what's interesting, and you guys pointed this out on my last YouTube video, therapists need to report physical violence between partners because the therapist did not report it to authorities, and there are absolutely no records of police involvement throughout this entire case, which lasted years. It casts a lot of doubt on the authenticity of the records, because if you're in a therapist and you're telling them, hey, I am getting all these, crimes against me, it's their right to go and tell the authorities. They're supposed to do that. The fact that she has years worth of these altercations and not one police record, I think calls into question these notes. On top of
To reiterate something I say in almost all my videos, if it didn't get written down, it didn't happen.
Looks to me like forgery. So Amber has always testified under oath that the events between her and Johnny started in 2013. But as I said, when she produced an image of a bloodied lip that wasn't put into evidence in the US trial, she leaked it to TMZ. The metadata on that picture revealed that it was taken in 2012, and the whole world saw her get caught out. So this was an obvious flaw in her story and completely changed the timeline of events she has stated for multiple years.
And of course,
She's
the
testified
Today Show
multiple
gave her a
times under
platform.
oath that
They
it all started
initially
in
want Johnny.
2013.
They're gonna lure
So
him
what does
by
she
giving
do?
her the fucking
Well,
stage.
she's, in my opinion, a psychopath.
Because it's a stage.
She begins saying 2012 in her interview with Dateline. Suddenly, she has
It's
the
called
medical records
revenue.
to back this year up to. Once again, Amber's story has changed, and there are new and convenient details
That's why
at every turn.
The mainstream media right now is going off about how much money all these LawTube channels made during the trial, and how every single high ranked one made over 6 figures. This isn't just about this girl, right? This is about revenue. How can we keep live streaming revenue? Oh, this could go live every single day for 6 weeks. Roll them.
She's trying to gaslight the world, and NBC and Today Show are giving her the platform to do it. So that's why.
And that's okay, but at whose expense, right? I've told this before. I'm not one of those battered women, but I'm sure they're out there. Comment down below what you think, and you don't have to get extravagant. Just put a heart down if you understand.
We're calling for a boycott. Please watch the Dateline clips on YouTube.
Like I said, I don't like NBC. I don't watch NBC. I watch ABC, if at all. But I also like Channel 11 or KTTV. I'm in Los Angeles. I don't know about y'all.
This sort of misinformation
A boycott seems a little much, though.
should not be spread, and it looks like the world needs a restraining order against Amber Heard. So what do you guys think of the authenticity of these notes that she suddenly remembered she had
Staged.
after she was called out publicly for changing the timeline of events? Sound off in the comments below, and don't forget to
She's,
subscribe by hitting my face right here.
She's missing a screw. All right. So that was Joseph Morris. It came in 43 minutes
So
ago.
Amber Heard has
So
challenged her ex-husband.
We've seen that, right? Let's see what else is going on here that we don't know. Not covering politics right now. That's the reason I got kicked off of Twitter. Amber challenges Johnny Depp to do his. Okay, yeah. So they want us. Well, these are podcasts. I don't really like these ones because they're rather long, but this one's kind of good and entertaining. It's called Popcorn Planet. He's really young, pleasing on the eyes, and doesn't talk nonsense. He gets right down into the nitty gritty, and then he ad-libs a little bit. He continues, which I like, the fluidity of it. Let's watch it. Came in an hour ago. It's 14 minutes long. Uh-oh. Okay, so this is an ad. We're going to go ahead and skip that. This is his intro.
Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I'm Andy Signor. I'm so excited because I'm here with the real Laura B, who's now on YouTube. What's up, Laura? You there?
Good. Yeah, I'm here. Thanks.
It's early,
thanks
so
for
we
the shout out.
got you on audio, and I've already seen you and subscribed over to YouTube. You can join her over there,
Amber
the real
Heard.
Laura B, and join
Amber Heard new evidence is phony proof.
takes on it.
Sometimes he's a little much, but he's comical, and I like his comedy.
New insight that's coming in from the Dateline Peacock interview, this interview that they clearly paid for and are trying to put out on many platforms. And there's one specific thing that now has been released per the longer interview about Amber releasing these notes that I want to go through. Now, before we get to the notes, there's one other part
Oh
at the
my
beginning I want.
God. Did y'all see that the new housewife of Beverly Hills used to be a madam? I talked about this before. I had this map hanging in the garage that I bought back when the Sarajevo war broke out. And it was like $350, $400, including tax around there. And I had it framed, and I had the styrofoam placed on the back of it. I mean, it's about a 1/4 inch thick. And I was so bummed because as soon as I got that map, the fucking war broke out. And so all the country lines were blurred, and some countries didn't exist. So this girl is the new Beverly Hills housewife is a product of this war, okay, the Sarajevo War, the one that altered the entire world mapping system, because the countries that were in the center of it no longer exist. So we're talking near like Czechoslovakia or something. I don't know where the Slavs are. So yeah, I forgot my train of thought. But anyways.
A play here that we have not yet seen. These are previously unseen clips of Amber. I know you guys are so excited, but here we go.
Oh, the lady. The lady's being accused of being a madam when she was like in her 20s. She's like 47 now, and she just had a baby. She's beautiful, by the way. And I really like the fact that she straight went out there and said, I'm nouveau rich. That means I buy whatever the fuck I want, because it is like that. And then she tells you, I was a Sarajevo refugee. Like, there were about 10 years of my life there where I didn't know where I was going to eat, like if I was going to have a meal the next day. So that's really crazy to me.
Some people might
I watched that show. If you watch it, comment down below, tell me what you think of her story. It's a little misleading.
ask, why? Are you brave? Are you reckless? Are you...
Okay, let's start on it.
That's what I want to go through. Now, before we get to the notes, there's
Let
one
me
other part
let
of
me
the
show you
beginning I
what I'm
want to
looking
play
at.
here that we have not yet seen. These are previously unseen clips of Amber. I know you guys are so excited, but here we go.
You're here. Some people might ask, why? Are you brave? Are you reckless? Are you vindictive?
Yes.
Why did you want to do an
I
interview?
don't know, Dookie. I don't know why she
One
wanted
thing I
to
can
do
tell
it.
you is, one thing I'm not is vindictive. And there's no part of me that sees any,
I don't fight anything.
this is a really lousy way to get vengeance.
Oh my God! I just can't even. Laura, did you laugh as hard when you heard that as well?
Yes, I absolutely think the op-ed was for vengeance. That's my personal opinion. She sued him October 2018. She lost. Boom, she has this opportunity. Says, I'll show you. You're going to write about me. I'll write about you. So I do think it was vindictive. And I don't think she expected him to do anything, because up until that point, she's been letting it slide. He'd been letting it slide. He kept hoping that it would eventually just go away, just keep, eventually fizzle out, as a lot of these things do over time.
And typically, someone like Amber, who's been through what she alleges, would go after
reason.
Johnny, right, and sue him and take him to court for the
For my
horrific things
meltdown when
he
it was
did.
triggered.
And she would be applauded for it, right? Instead,
She was going to.
Yeah, but people, I remember
She was going to.
this court was about her having to defend herself for that. It happened in the first place. Johnny's the one who brought it. So it's just very telling to me because, yeah, there's so much for that. She couldn't take him to court, in my opinion, because she clearly didn't have the evidence, right? She wasn't being truthful.
But remember, you get a temporary restraining order. It's temporary. You're supposed to go to court next. They were going to court Johnny was gathering evidence. That's why you see a lot of those texts in context. He's like, hey, brother, whoever, I need your text. I need this. She's looking to be humiliated if she goes through with this. Not that he was promising it, saying she's going to do this to herself because I have to bring the evidence. I have to bring the audience. I have to defend myself.
And another lie is the whole, not only is she vindictive, but this whole like, I wanted nothing, also a lie because they ended up settling for the money, which she ended up keeping and not actually giving to the kids, while then also going on a press tour to say, I donated all the money, I saw nothing. So yeah, she's just credibility's completely gone out the window. So now, that's all important just to remind you as we get to this next bit, which I do want to play here, which is this bombshell that a lot of people, explosive new revelation. No, it's not, guys. Let's break it down from here. Here's the clip where it's mentioned.
But Amber and her lawyers say there's evidence the jury didn't get to see, which could have bolstered her case. Amber's lawyers are sharing it publicly here for the first time.
There's a binder worth of years of notes dating back to 2011 from the very beginning of my relationship that were taken by my doctor, who I was reporting to.
Yeah, I think she's about to say.
The doctor was Amber's therapist at the time. We looked at notes the doctor took during some of their sessions, which showed that as far back as 2012, Amber was talking about physical.
Her notes represented years of real-time explanations of what was going on. Entered into evidence.
The judge ruled those notes were hearsay and inadmissible. Jeff's spokesperson told us it's unfortunate that the defendant and her team are back to repeating, reimagining, and relitigating matters that have already been decided by the court.
Now, this notebook of evidence is just an interesting one because, first of all, it is absolutely hearsay. Laura, it's absolutely hearsay.
Absolutely.
You pay a doctor to see you, and you tell the doctor what you want to tell the doctor. And for a person whose credibility is already shattered, who is lying left and right, suddenly we're supposed to believe that what Amber told the doctor is now factual, that should be evidence the jury should take. It proves nothing. There's no evidence that the doctor saw. It's all the words that Amber shared with said doctor. And thank God Judge Penny was so, tight on all that, because it's complete, I don't have my button here, it's complete. There it is. Laura, correct?
Yeah, but let's quantify this. You use the word doctor and we don't want to get people confused. This is a therapist. This isn't somebody that can x-ray her or internally check her out, or this is their.
If you find exercise hard, you need one of these. All you need is 3 minutes. And once you try it, you'll never dread working out again. More wasted gym memberships, boring workouts, or trying to find time to train. Build long, lasting, healthy habits each day with Stealth. There's a reason it's been featured in Men's Health, Women's Health, Rolling Stone, and GQ. It works. And today, for a limited time, you can save $50.
Have you seen that one? That was funny.
Stay motivated, committed.
It's a
Get the
TikTok.
body you really want in exchange for 3 minutes a day.
Ooh, I need that.
Therapist who's there to hear what you have to say, help you work through those emotions. They're not here to investigate or determine if you're telling the truth or not. They're there to accept what you're saying as I don't want to say fact, but just that's how you're feeling, that's what you feel you're experiencing, and let's see how I can help you through this.
Right, and it's also imperative to just say that not only, apparently she told this, let's not call it a doctor, because it's a therapist. It's a therapist. And good catch to tell me too, all of us, let's be careful. Not to say therapists are bad. It's
Don't
just
like up and up. I do.
To listen and give you advice,
It's
etc.
a fraction of the money that they want for brand names.
Or things,
It's an
And
up and
what's
coming
interesting about this is
company.
the fact that, Laura, as you pointed
It's
out,
owned by Jessica Alba. She's a Latina, so you can't beat that.
What's interesting is you put all this through, and then you also were helping me send me sort of the testimonials from both UK trial and the Virginia trial, how Amber testified in both trials that nothing happened until the tattoo incident. Which was
An amazing marriage, blissful, so much in love.
She's a liar.
So
I can't have the fucking lies anymore.
we
I
didn't see
can't.
each other very much.
That's why I'm dissecting
a
it.
love affair
I
from the
can't.
rum diary, which again, was like, hello, they were clearly super infatuated with each other, like honeymoon phase. I believe
Yeah.
wholeheartedly these two were in love. There was nothing.
And from the
on either
pictures, it
side.
looks like she would
But
attack
then
him
that changed
physically,
because
leave him with
where did
marks
that
everywhere,
change? What
and then
triggered
fucking
Amber
go out
to
into
correct her story?
So she had a pattern
Inciting-
where, like,
what
I
changed
think
it from
she usually
protection?
battered him when he had to go
I think
out
the
into
week
public,
off,
so
I
that
think they
it was her way of manipulating him. That's why he looked so scared at some of these award shows.
She's acting completely was trying to rehabilitate her testimony. She wouldn't hit the points.
I mean, she could have killed him, in my
Don't have the
opinion.
title doctor.
Some
I'm just
do,
saying, when
some do.
in conversation, if we say doctor, we just want to quantify it for the audience. not
Yeah,
that
but
we're not
usually
saying-
you get it for psychology or other things. Like you could be a therapist and not
She's
be a doctor.
fucking crazy, yo.
Yes.
Yeah, I just want, just so we know what we're talking about.
Not
here.
trying to discredit
Um,
therapists. It's different, and it's important to call a therapist
But
if they're not a doctor.
allegedly.
Which I don't know if this person
Yeah.
was.
according to the people that are
Johnny,
roasting
as she
her
said in
everywhere
her
on the airwaves,
Virginia
right?
deposition, or
Including
here,
me.
with emotions, and her
She's
declaration,
allegedly
sorry.
like,
I
walk
first met
person.
Johnny in 2009, and we started
This
dating,
bitch
and he
has
was,
got
and
problems.
he was sober.
I have problems. It's not a
Bad.
bad thing.
Oh, there we
Right, that
go.
little
That
leg
last
through
little
there.
bit.
all the way down.
Yep.
Yeah,
Do
and he
your
was
fucking
sober.
due diligence.
So,
Otherwise,
but
don't
she
complain about it.
testified in
Don't
this
complain
court.
about where you live, across the
Virginia,
street from God
The
knows
first
who.
alleged incident was the tattoo.
If you live
in
there,
2015.
if you didn't want to
Then
live
they went
there,
on
move
break
the
for a
fuck
week,
out.
and then she came back trying to get these notes in.
If you're still
Right, and then
going
the
off
notes
about the
clearly,
fucking
I guess,
case
had it
in
earlier,
Tennessee,
which was either
and you know you
a
shouldn't
mistake
have,
or
or you should, or you should
things
stop
were,
at least,
as well as the
Yeah.
usage.
stop
of
fucking
substances.
complaining about
There's
it.
also, so the
'Cause you look
story
like a
was changed.
fool.
And yeah,
All of
Amber
you
came
do.
back and Elaine had the question, and what was the justification?
But I'm a
Well,
judge.
I wanted to tell myself that it was perfect. In
As
the
in
beginning, too,
biblical.
but I guess I just was wrong until I read the notes. That
I
I'm
mean,
trying
I
to
can
force
tell you
into
that
the
I'm a
last minute,
prophet, right?
That was justification.
You could call
Yeah,
me
she didn't
crazy
remember these
too.
until she read the notes. But she
It's all
didn't
a
read the
matter of
notes that
opinion.
week. I mean, she got them.
Opinions are like
They didn't just show up
assholes.
the week of the trial.
Everybody has one.
She had them.
It really
And
felt
I'm
like the
really
notes
confused
just, the notes just sort of just came in
There's
late,
another
and it was a
one.
very weird process.
And I'm trying to figure out this binder situation, and this is me speculating. Doctors submit stuff digitally. Everything's digital nowadays. They would be printed out for a binder. However, I do remember when Elaine filed the exhibit list, that she said she was going to provide a binder of information.
Okay, stop it. Stop it.
This therapist turned over a binder. I think that's the binder.
Shut up.
The only time I heard the word used.
Get out.
A binder could have 3 sheets in it, guys. Like that, and again, Amber's very good at over exaggerating words and using them to make it seem like it's a big thing. Oh my god, a binder
This is
full of
cute,
notes
actually.
literally could be 4 sheets of notes, right, Laura? So it's like it doesn't mean anything. And they might have printed out. It might have. The other thing that bothers me as we hear this testimony now, it's like I don't know. And Dateline was they're showing these sort of blurry documents. When were they actually written? Who were they written by? All these questions aren't answered. And the other thing that I'm going to put out there, because Christopher Belcher reminded me, when you get in like evidence like this or exclusive pieces, that's when subjects get paid. Because it's really hard for news network to pay their subject.
Yeah.
Where they pay the subject is licensing fees to evidence or Instagram photos of Amber with her child. The more stuff like that you have, the easier it is to license the stuff. And it's not really a paid, it's a licensing deal. It's a very thing. So it doesn't surprise me that Dateline got something exclusive in hand to look through and talk about what they saw on screen. And honestly, I think it was so Amber could get paid. So that it makes it even more sickening to me that she's getting potentially, I gotta be careful, potentially getting paid off these alleged therapy notes, which again, guys, it's so important to reiterate.
Yeah, this is all allegedly, by the
alleged
way.
Notes she told a therapist.
I mean,
And
she's a liar. We're calling her a
Proof it
liar,
happened.
right?
It's
Allegedly,
just proof
she's
she told
lying
somebody.
because the
But
jury
Laura,
has come to that
I wouldn't be
conclusion.
surprised if she
She's
paid
been
someone
tried
to
already.
say,
And she's,
he put these notes
liable
into
already.
look
Like,
these
that's
dates
been,
up.
it's
I wouldn't
over
be
and
asked,
done
would
with.
you?
No, but I went back
And
and
she's
I'm thinking
appealed.
a lot of texts she sent her mother. She was claiming some of these things.
That's
And
why
if
she
you-
filed
if
those.
you listen to
others
Dr.
filing
Curry's testimony,
That's why she's
this
filing
kind
the
of
appeal
behavior
to seal.
completely fits with
She
the
doesn't
seeking
want these
attention,
notes to get out.
exaggerating.
So she's
overblowing
suppressing
things.
evidence
I
as we
really
speak
honestly
right now.
believe that when she met Johnny, everybody was in love with him. And suddenly she
I mean,
became a
if
back
you
seat
fucking
with her
had a
friends,
son
even
and
her
this
own
was happening
family.
to him?
And I think she just wanted to make this scenario like, hey, things aren't
I
so
don't
great.
know. I
Just to
have
make
a
herself
son.
look better to them.
Who's
Dr.
freaking-
Curry mentioned an Amy Banks and a Bonnie Jacobs.
We're
that
gonna
she
talk
read those
about it.
notes. As far as I can see, Dr. Hughes only mentioned,
But know
Bonnie
that I'm
Jacobs.
aware of this
she
shit.
didn't mention Amy Banks.
So
So,
by
I mean, a lot of
deduction,
things pointing,
People are
Bonnie
not
Jacobs.
dumb.
I mean, that's
I
what our
don't know who
search
this
is saying.
Bonnie Jacobs is, so who knows? Maybe she's
Oh,
very credible. I don't know.
what you have to pin this down to is if Bonnie Jacobs had been put on the stand, she could have talked about these notes, I think. And Depp did not object. She's not on his objection list. So they were not objecting to her. And as far as what we saw posted online, something could be going on behind the scenes. But she was never called to testify. And now Johnny's therapist, was it Brownstein? Remember his name?
Have my coffee?
He did testify, and he did read from his notes. The marriage counselor testified and did read from their notes. So I think as long as the doctor is there, they checked Kipper's notes, all the other medical professionals, they brought in the notes. As long as
Stop, shut up.
then it's not hearsay.
Well, they could question them, but they couldn't question them about.
No, your food is there and you don't want it, don't eat it.
Like tell you that's the hearsay of Amber telling the
There, yep.
of what Johnny did this to me from Amber to a third person. That's hearsay. Hearsay is.
So I was right,
party.
third
The
parties.
doctor wasn't there to
We get
witness
the
it.
first party and we get the
So
second party.
It's complicated.
Right, but
It's
third
not
parties?
proof. Me
Okay, so
telling
now
Laura
you're gonna be
something
fucking
happened
on a
doesn't mean it
tangent?
happened, right,
Like,
Laura?
well, this person to the
Dr.
hundred,
Anderson,
right?
marriage counselor, because any
100
time
times removed
her
said this.
stuff was
Come
brought
on,
up, Depp wasn't present.
Right.
He was never present for any of those claims. He had no knowledge
Convenient.
that he had those claims were being made, and that Anderson had to admit that.
Yeah, it's super convenient to bring it up when it's not there, so you can't challenge it. So that was her tactics throughout this whole case.
She's so
We'll
fucking-
break down more. We're gonna watch the Dateline
She's
special
so
tonight. I
fucking
believe.
abnormal.
I think I'll be live this afternoon. We'll either be live or if not, and/or tonight at 8 p.m. So don't miss it. I'll make sure I put a reminder in the comments. Make sure to go subscribe.
Okay, that's at Andy
here
Senior.
at MRB. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell for all alerts. Smash the like button.
I should probably end this live
And
stream
check out the
soon.
real
I don't know
RP
if I
on
have any comments, just like I
the
said.
link in the description as well. And always a pleasure.
I wanted to give you guys an insight on the things I do. Oh my god, here's another one. This one's called The Neil Show.
Everything I need to make my home totally me.
Okay, so let me tell you something about this chick. She is a classic case study. Okay, I don't know what kind of case study it is. But she's a case study.
Case is over. Case closed. Move on. Well, no, the case was about public perception, and lots of mainstream media are kind of not exactly giving him the victory that he got in court.
The reason everybody's pissed is because all of a sudden everybody has an opinion. No, not everybody. Not all of a sudden everybody has an opinion. This fucking thing has been going on for a while, and the better part of 2 fucking months. Don't come at me and ask me to fucking remove 2 months out of my life. That's not the way it works, per Amber Heard's words. Right? So don't come at me and tell me that this is what's
First
going on.
unsent email
Because I'm
to
here to tell you that's not the case.
media are kind of not exactly giving him the victory that he got in court. And when it comes down to it, the parades of Amber and her lawyer kind of going out there saying, hey, we didn't get our evidence in, it was stacked against us.
She's fucking right.
I personally like to push against that, and a lot of people on the internet are doing the same. We're going to cover the story. Follow me on Instagram at Dave Neals, and also on Patreon for private membership content, patreon.com/Dave Neal. Now, this is 2 years old. 2 years ago, this article read, Amber Heard's unsent email to monster Johnny Depp read out in court. Half of you I love madly. The other half scares me. So
Because
I've got
she's a
this email for
woman.
you guys. This is
And
part of the
she's got
evidence
identity
that wasn't admitted
crisis.
into the Virginia court case.
I mean, you can't be
And
bi
some
and
people are
Al.
saying
You have
it
to
wasn't
be one or
admitted
the
because
other.
this
I
could
don't
have
give a
been
fuck who you are.
Now, it
Pick
says
a
that she
fucking
sent
lane.
this in 2013 here. But now just a few comments from people that are experts here.
And any
Because
gay
this
woman
wasn't
will tell
evidence
you that if
in
somebody
communication,
comes at her,
you
tells her
don't
she
really
loves her,
dissect the metadata behind
and
it.
turns out
But
she's
what
fucking
a
what?
few people are saying
I'd
is
be pissed.
unsent emails means that they could have been written any time. It didn't go through the SMTP servers. There's no proof dating it to the alleged time. Just like her photos
Am
are
I
potentially
gay?
broken in
We're all
metadata.
gay.
Well, what
We are
Depp said
all
at the time
gay,
is that
sweetie.
she was creating a
I mean-
dossier of evidence
You gotta
to
study
use
your
against
history.
him.
We're all
Yeah,
gay.
this all sounds like wacky, crazy conspiracy theory.
That's why it's so
I mean, like,
infuriating.
the most
So this
probable
bitch played on her
answer here is
email
that
card
she did send
and
this
her
to
day
herself
card. Oh,
in
hell no.
2013. But
Pick a fucking
nothing about
lane.
this case is normal, so it does make you ask a lot of questions, which she already has been guilty, at least in the court of public opinion, of committing perjury in the UK and Australia. So I'm going to read what she said in a second, but let's just read what Johnny's response to her email was. Here's what Johnny's response to her email, which did play in the UK court. So Amber and her lawyers and attorneys, and they all say, well, she won in the UK. Now, we know she wasn't on trial in the UK. She was a witness to the son. But Johnny responded with this: hoax is probably the best word one could use because the allegations, all of the allegations, are patently untrue. From hearing you read out this email that was not sent to me, and from some of the information I've garnered from my experience yesterday and having studied the case, I will suggest, ma'am, that it appears to me that Ms. Heard was building a dossier very early on that appears to be an insurance policy for later, dossier French for documents, right? So building a document, but some have even sinister motivation to say she's just straight up fabricating this evidence. So another article here, Johnny Depp's assistant claims his text messages apologizing to Amber Heard for the actor's actions are fake and have been heavily doctored. Again, those were pieces of evidence that I believe that didn't make it into the Virginia court case, where there was like screen grabs of him saying, "Hey, sorry, Depp kicked you." Well, he's saying, "I didn't say that." And he said, "I would say that in sworn testimony if need be." Stephen Deuter says the messages released have been fabricated. Insists that 52-year-old Depp never attacked his now estranged wife, as he never mentioned in his
Scott, you smell like dog. You need to go outside.
Deuter also believes the texts are
Where are you,
suspicious
Mama?
as they came with no date. Depp's assistant
It's
has
not
said
Dookie.
apologized
So
for
you've
her in
never
a string of
smelled
texts. In one text
Has to be
supposedly
scalp.
sent from Heard regarding a man alleged to be Depp, she writes, "He's done this many times before, and I always stay." So you have assistants saying, these texts are made up. Now, like I said,
I've
a lot
seen
of
this. If
this
you haven't streamed
information never made it into the
trial,
current
you
court case,
can
so
on Long Crime.
it doesn't get to be held
Long
up,
Crime
you know,
Network.
with the
So I know
proper,
what he's talking about. I'm
You can't
familiar
look at
with
it
all of it.
under a magnifying glass the way you would any other evidence that's in the court case. But like, on sort of appearance alone, you go, oh yeah, these look pretty standard. It looks pretty good. His name's Steven. Oh, he's done this many times before. Tokyo, the island, London. I always stay. I always believe he's going to get better. Oh yeah. So damning evidence if true. If not true, psychopathic.
Yeah.
So here's Amber's email
I
that
like
she
his
wrote
style.
to
It's
herself
neutral.
that was never sent to
I don't
Depp.
have that luxury.
It was in the
No
UK
woman.
trial that didn't make its way to Virginia. So when Amber and her lawyers say, well, all the evidence is out there, this is what they're talking about. Here's what Amber said to herself. Apparently, allegedly, I just don't know if I can do this anymore. It's like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Half of you I love, the other half scares me. And again, this is a long email. I'm going to read the whole thing, so stick around. Make a sandwich. I can't take him. I wish I could, but I can't. The problem is I never really understand which one I'm dealing with until it's too late. The drinking assures me that I'm dealing with a monster. The abused, scared, insecure, violent little boy. I just can't tell where the line starts. Also, drugs seem to guarantee I will be forced to deal with a monster as well. Once again, it's knowing what, how much, and when, which makes all the difference. Sometimes the hangover the morning after is just as bad as the full-on disco bloodbath I've come to expect. You live in a world full of enablers. You cut out and resent, whether you realize it or not, everyone who isn't an enabler. I can make a clear distinction as to who falls into which category with complete ease. Just how often you see them and what role they play in your day-to-day life distinguishes where they fall on the enabling scale. I watched yesterday as everyone around you picked you up off the floor, helped you up, got you on with your life, preventing you from really falling. With so much help, of course, you can't know how much this hurts you and your life. Because you pay people around you to prevent your feet from having to hit the rock bottom, as they say. Yesterday, I saw you pass out amongst vomiting 3 times. All 3 times Jerry had carried you from the floor. On the plane, Nathan mentioned how many times he'd break into locked doors to wake you up after passing it on the toilet. You would have embarrassed yourself countless times if someone would be honest enough with you to show you. If someone filmed you while you were in that state, you would be mortified. It's embarrassing just watching it happen. You can't know because friends keep smiling in your face and then turning their head and rolling their eyes at how ridiculous they feel and look, picking a grown man up from his own piss and vomit, knowing he'll never be able to realize how bad he looks. I mean, hey, the visual here makes perfect sense that people as rich as Johnny would be enabled by people around them because the people around them benefit off of their wealth.
Okay,
This makes
so
perfect sense.
let me just tell you how wrong they
Hungover
are,
post
right?
pills is
Okay?
not much better.
So I have a friend who's a billionaire, and he runs his household like a billionaire. So there are no enablers in the billionaire's life. You know why? Because that billionaire wouldn't be a billionaire if there were enablers. Right? The people that have enablers wouldn't be what he's suggesting. So they didn't get there without doing their due diligence and the work that they needed to do, right? So, meaning they're not going to listen to you. Whether you fucking tell them don't do this or do this, they're not going to listen to you. They're still going to do whatever the fuck they want because they didn't get to where they are by listening to the likes of you or anybody else for that matter. So this guy's wrong, but he's quite young, and I could see how he may not have billionaire friends, and he knows that that's incorrect what he's saying, right? And I'm telling you from my experience, I know that to be true, okay?
You're mean and insensitive. I have no reason I have to stay with you, and I won't. You don't pay me. I don't have to. Well, yeah, I know that's true. I don't have to lie to you for my job, livelihoods, or kids. I will never want to be locked into you. My freedom is now, I realize, the only thing I have to protect me. I will never, ever trust you to trap me. I myself watched you pass out cold on the floor after drinking yourself sick. One of these times you cut yourself so badly that you needed stitches. You say things you don't mean, you're impossible to reason with, so everyone placates you, lies to you, worse even, you lie to yourself, and you believe it. If you have somebody who
Yeah, let's
people
focus
around
on the
you
dogs.
protecting you from yourself and the truth. They think looking
Because
at
if I get good views, I'll go live stream on their channel instead. This is one of the channels I was going to have for a temporary basis, though. So, also want to remind you of that. Oh, where's Juki? Oh, Juki's gone. Okay, so no, cancel. Okay. Those are chihuahuas.
Truth? No wonder it doesn't work. If they left you on the floor in your own shit, locked in the bathroom while you missed work, then you might have to actually learn. Learn to take care of yourself. You think you're so tough. Big self-destruction. I don't give a fuck, man. Bullshit. If you really didn't, then you wouldn't have so many people there to take care of you. You just let them do all the hard work while you run away from your problems, unable to take pain. Such a big man that you need your paid assistants and family to carry and clean up after you. A real man doesn't need to be cared for like a baby. What I saw last night was a child. You made me feel at the beginning safe.
Okay, so like if you're an abused person, right? Truth be told, you wouldn't be writing somebody this type of a letter because the rationale is that you're probably scared to death, right? You're supposed to be working on some kind of a process to leave the relationship. And if you are involved in such a dysfunctional relationship, and you haven't started the process of getting out, knowing damn well that this is a dangerous situation for you to be in, there's something going on in your psyche that's preventing you from doing so. So what you need to do is look within you and figure that out. And remember that part of making a decision or a choice is not making so when you're making a choice, not making the choice in and of itself is a choice that you're making. So make sure that you know what you're doing so that you know what the outcome of what you're doing is going to be further on down the line, right? Because it's a work in progress. We are all learning, right? I mean, I'm 51 years old. You know, I'm married. I've been with my husband 20 years. I have my own room. What am I going to tell you?
Like you could care for me. Like I could have a family with you. You made me feel like you were a real man. That was only half of it. What I saw yesterday and many times before is a needy man-child. I watch as other grown men have to wipe you, basically. You get the convenient benefit of never having to remember it. That's nice for you. So you get away with so many lies that you tell yourself. You actually trick yourself into thinking the craziest lies when you're fucked up, and because you're so accustomed to people not calling you out on your bullshit, they work for you. Hello. Or you actually believe your shit. Need a reference? How about when you actually thought I hit you first? Or that I was hiding drugs? The list goes on. Now, this is when it gets suspect because
You thought. How does she know what he thought? Did he tell her that? Why is she trying to add this suggestion in? You thought. I mean, how does she know? Right? She doesn't know what he thought.
the fact that in the second, the back 2/3 of the email, she goes, she kind of mentions the fact that she did hit him first. When we now know in audio recordings in her own testimony that she did hit him.
Right?
Or that I was hiding drugs. So this goes on. Admit some of your own shit first. Many times you have hurt me physically and emotionally from the things you say and did while fucked up.
She's
The
mad because he
monster
called
comes out
her,
and becomes mean and horrible. The opposite
Hussy,
What am I to
basically.
do? How would you be if you were in love with one person who was in fact two? Both you, it's something a Boyz II Men song. Both you, the love of my life. And if you're too young to understand a Boyz II Men song, get out. I'm kidding. How would you be if you were in love with one person who was in fact two? Both you, the love of my life, and the monster look the same. How fucking confused I feel. I am mad, so mad. How would you feel if you were sold false goods? I fell for you while you were sober, a whole year. How can I know this lay in store for me? How dare you make me fall in love with you? Present this other self, your good half, only to rip the mask off once I was in. I feel like the biggest idiot in the world. I put up with so much. I have clean shit, vomited, pissed off, both literally and figuratively. I have been accused of crazy shit, none of which I deserved, only to never hear an apology for your booze-fueled zeal. You have hit me repeatedly, something you should never have done. What a fucking man you are, and none of this would be possible without booze and drugs. None. Sent from my spaceship. I'm guessing it's an iPad? I don't know. All right, well, what do you guys think? I mean, it reads believable to an extent, which is part of the problem. Is that, is this real evidence? Did she really send this to herself? If she sent this to herself 9 years ago with the thought that someday she might use this as evidence, that's impressive. If this is true, and by the way, if anyone's out there dealing with problems of...
So he probably doesn't know that she is under scrutiny for having had her license suspended as a juvenile for up to 5 years, or actually 5 years, then subsequently getting caught driving while on that suspension. And the rationale behind the allegations are that she was involved in a manslaughter, and whereupon she was the cause of the person losing their life, and it was due to she was behind the wheel. So, I mean, one has to wonder, right? So this is like in theory, like theorizing, right? This is not like, I'm not alleging this, I'm theorizing that some of the things that happen when people are adolescents and they're growing up and becoming their own person, right? I can talk about this because I had a child at 16, so I know this to be true. In my opinion, I can say this because this is a criticism of the trial post the verdict, right? So, in keeping with that, right, I don't have to say necessarily fair use. They already know that it's fair use. Just like I don't have to say, please subscribe. You already know what to do when you come onto my channel. That's just a fucking given. They're not stupid, right? People aren't stupid. So, I mean, theoretically, she could have been involved in an amorous relationship with this person whom her advances were probably not received well, and their anger issues in terms of Amber, we already know this, given the fact that in hindsight, she, there are documents that claim that she may have been involved in this type of situation. Because people who have, especially juveniles who have their license suspended like that for that many years, 9 times out of 10, there's something that happened that was an accident and still, someone lost their life. I mean, that's pretty sad. Right? Listen.
I suggest doing that, sending yourself evidence, sending it to a friend, sending it, build up your case, build up your dossier. If it's true,
I've kept journals my entire life for the exact same reason that I knew one day I would get older and I would want to remember what happened to me. And some of these journals were confiscated by family members or, relatives, extended family members, right? Because they felt threatened by what was being written in there. There are pictures, right? People forget that you get older and you know what's going on and where the treasures are hidden. And don't think I wasn't, threatened with that, okay? I mean, what am I supposed to do? Yeah, this is the problem. So you have to document everything. If it doesn't get documented, it didn't happen.
it's not, you think that this would be able to be proven wrong. So I don't know, maybe because it's not in the current, or wasn't in the current Virginia court case, they didn't look into the metadata here, but as some people have said, there's no way to prove if it wasn't sent, whether or not it is legit. Although I will say this, it does say it was sent from Amber to Amber. So if it was sent, you would think she would be able to prove it. And if this was sent, then it would be a notch on her side, really. But again, not really sure. No evidence, concretely points to that being made in the moment and not fabricated afterwards. Boy, I feel stupid sometimes, though. I really do, because I go, the last thing I want as just a random viewer is to believe one side so fully that I'm blind to evidence. I've said this all along. If Elaine, Amber's attorney, has all this evidence that wasn't shown, we want to see it. We want to see it. And if she has evidence and we can't bring it to trial because it's too late, public opinion matters. If she can validate and prove that these text messages were real and they're not doctored, this is a big deal. Bring it up. Put it online. I think people would listen, but so far, none of that. Let me know what you guys think. More content coming your way.
All right, so we got to get dressed. We got to get ready. But, like I said, I was in a heated argument with my husband yesterday because he tried to tell me that it was okay to lie. It's not okay to lie. It's not okay to lie. If you're telling me, right, that it's okay to lie, I'm going to have a problem trusting you. That's just the way it is. Because I'm not going to lie to you. This is the problem, right? The problem is the fucking blatant lie. So if you're going to blatantly lie to me, I don't want anything to do with you. That's what happens. Okay, guys. Thanks for watching. It's been grand. And I don't know how many people came in, but that's what my mornings look like. So, branded morning routine. And